Hello, children. I'm Sheikh Abdul Aziz, your English teacher. I welcome you on behalf of my school management and my principal, Mr. Silva Solomon. Children, today we are going to do a very beautiful poem, 2.4 The Pulley. It is written by George Herbert. George Herbert, the poet, shows us a strange but two-way relationship between God and his worshippers. God has showered his worshippers with his blessings, but leaves them restless. God wants them to be grateful and adore him. God hopes that this restlessness, which acts as a pulley, will draw them towards him. Children, let me read the poem. So let us proceed to the first stanza. Children, look in the textbook. See the first stanza. When God at first made man, having a glass of blessing standing by, let us, said he, pour on him all we can. Let the world's riches which dispersed lie, contract into a span. Now in this first stanza, children, first I will discuss with the difficult words. Underline the word riches and underline the word dispersed, contract and span. Riches means wealth, bounties, or I can say qualities. Then underline the word dispersed. Dispersed means scattered. Next word contract. Contract means collect together. There's one more word, the last word span. It is a small space. In this, when we talk about the poetic device, the rhyme scheme is A, B, A, B, A. Again I repeat, the rhyme scheme of the first stanza is A, B, A, B, A. Children, as you all know, if there is a rhyme scheme, then of course there are rhyming words. So the pair of rhyming words, if it is asked in the exam, you have to look at the last word, whether it is rhyming or not. Man, yeah, you can think of man can, yes, you are correct. By, lie. Even you can say man span. Then come to the next poetic device, that is figure of speech. See the second line in the first stanza. Having a glass of blessing standing by. Here the figure of speech is metaphor. Because the sum of attributes or qualities, attributes means qualities, given to man are implicitly, or I can use the word indirectly, compared to a glass of blessings. Now children, let us proceed towards the explanation. The first stanza, the poet says, that at the time when God first created man, he had a glass of blessings standing by. He thought that he would be generous and shower on man all the gifts possible. God intended that all the treasures of the earth which lay scattered should be collected, should be gathered and concentrated in the small space he had created. And children, what he had created? That is, which was man. So he wants to give all the blessings. Indirectly, what I mean to say here is, he wants to give all the blessings for the mankind. So children, I hope you understood the first stanza. Let us proceed towards the second stanza. Children, look in the textbook. I am reading the second stanza now. So strength first made a way, then beauty flowed, then wisdom on a pleasure. When almost all was out, God made a stay, perceiving that alone of all his treasures, rest in the bottom lay. First, I will discuss the difficult words in this. Underline the word perceiving. Perceiving means noticing, or even you can say becoming conscious of. Then when we talk about figure of speech, see the second line in the second stanza. Then beauty flowed, then wisdom, honor, pleasure. This line, the figure of speech, is climax, as the ideas like wisdom, honor, pleasure is given in the order of ascending. That is, it's given in the ascending order of importance. See the last line in the second stanza, rest in the bottom lay. Here the figure of speech is inversion. The words are not given in the correct prose order, And the correct prose order is rest lay in the bottom. Children, let me explain you this second stanza now. The poet says, the first gift God gave man was strength. Then this was followed by beauty. Then it was followed by wisdom. Then God gave mankind honor and pleasure too. And when nearly all the gifts had been bestowed on man, that is given to man, God suddenly stopped. He noticed that of all the treasures, only one gift remained at the bottom of the glass, and that was rest. Now, in second stanza, we have seen that he has given all kind of gifts to mankind. Whether you talk about wisdom, honor, pleasure, all those treasures, all those gifts were given by God to make him happy. But suddenly he stopped. He did not give one gift, that is rest. Why he has not given that gift, that we'll study in the next stanza. And I hope it is clear to you all, children. So let us proceed towards the third stanza. Children, look in the textbook. I am reading the third stanza now. For if I should, said he, bestow this jewel also on my creature, he would adore my gifts instead of me, and rest in nature, not the God of nature, so both should losers be. Now in this third stanza, underline the word bestow. Bestow means bestow on. Give us a gift to. Underline the word adore. Adore means love very much. In this, when we talk about figure of speech, I am reading the second line of the third stanza. Bestow this jewel also on my creature. Here the figure of speech is metaphor. Children, can anyone think of that why it is known as metaphor? Yes? Yes, you are right. The gift of rest is indirectly compared to a jewel. Then there is one more figure of speech, that is third last line in the third stanza. And rest in nature and not the God of nature. Here the figure of speech is repetition. R-E-P-E-T-I-T-I-O-N. The word nature is repeated for the poetic effect. Now children, pay attention here. I would like to explain the third stanza. In third stanza, the poet says, God said to himself that if he bestowed this precious and valuable gift to his creation, that is, I am talking about rest now, man would love and worship only the gifts of nature and would not love the God who had created all things in nature. Thus, both God and man would finally lose each other. That is what the poet wants to tell us in third stanza. Children, I hope it's clear to you all. Let us proceed towards the fourth and the last stanza of the poem. Children, look in the textbook. Now I am reading the last and the fourth stanza of the poem, The Pulley. Yet let him keep the rest, but keep them with ripening restlessness. Let him be rich and varied at last. If goodness lead him not, yet weariness may toss him to my breast. First, I would like to tell you the difficult words in this poem. Underline the word ripening restlessness. The meaning of ripening restlessness means continuous anxiety due to dissatisfaction. Underline the word very, W-E-A-R-Y. Very means very, very tired. Underline the word toss. The meaning of toss is bring, or I must say throw close. In this, when we talk about poetic device, that is figure of speech, look at the second line of the last stanza. But keep them with ripening restlessness. Can you look at it? R and R. Very easily you can identify the figure of speech in this. Very easy also. The figure of speech is alliteration. And what is the explanation we write for the alliteration? The alphabet, that is the sound of the alphabet R, is repeated for poetic effect. Let us proceed towards the explanation of the last stanza, children. Here the poet wants to say that, so God let man retain all the other gifts, but together with them he left man restless and continually anxious and dissatisfied. He thought that man should be rich with the abundance of gift what he has given, but he should always remain tired and restless. God reasoned, means God has given the reason that only then, at last, if the quality of goodness did not lead man back to God, a sheer fatigue, that is, a sheer tiredness, would draw man back to God's heart. So at least mankind will remember God whenever he is in trouble. Children, that is what it is given in the poem. But before I end the poem, I would like to ask you one personal response question based on this poem. If I ask you in the exam, what would the human being do if God gifted him with rest? So you should tell or you should write in 4 lines. If God had gifted human being with rest, they would never have cared to remember God, since they would have nothing to long for or to feel restless about. This is because self-satisfaction and contentment would have made the human being feel complete and contented, and might even prompt them to think that they themselves were God. This is what you have to write if it is asked in the exam. Such type of personal response. And one more important thing, in this poem, you have to remember the critical appreciation. In critical appreciation, it is very, very easy to write, children. First, you have to write the poem's name, then poet's name, then rhyme scheme, rhyming words, figure of speech, and one figure of speech you have to explain, and in the end you have to write a central idea. So all these notes will be sent to you tomorrow, and you have to write compulsory in your notebook. See to it, I request all the children to complete their notebook. If the notes are sent today, immediately complete. Take your own time and complete on that very same day, so that your books are not incomplete. It does not remain incomplete, because anytime the supervisor, the principal sir or English teacher will ask for the book and you have to show the book. Thank you very much for your patient listening. God bless you all. Stay safe, stay healthy, children.